Joining me now is Hibaaq Osman. She is the founder of Karama. It's a movement to stop violence against women and deliver sustainable peace and democracy in the Arab world. Thank you so much for being with us, Hibaaq.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So you shared the stage with three other women, Muslim women, here at Women in the World Summit. It got a little heated at times.
Yes.
Clearly your views are not all identical.
No.
But how can you support and empower each other to some degree in order to achieve change, do you think?
A lot of Muslim women around the world are working very hard to make sure that, to advance women's rights. One of the issues that came up in that panel, and of course 30-minute panel on discussing Islam, was not enough fun. Cannot be possibly, I think 30 years would not even be enough if we were there every day. So an understanding, child marriage is a culture. Nowhere in the Quran does it say that a woman should get married, at this age. It doesn't. We cannot fight the fight of what happened in the 7th century. We can talk about what's happening in 2016. In 2016, women in Yemen, in Jordan, in Egypt, in all around Arab world and Muslim world, in Africa, are fighting child marriage, for example. They made sure that in the new constitutions in the Arab region, that child marriage is increased. When the fundamentalists took over, when the conservatives took over, they tried to decrease it. Women were at the front line fighting to make sure that the child marriage is increased to 18. So the important thing is, yes, there are challenges, but the point is women are not sitting making things to happen to them. They are fighting tooth and nail. In that you can say that, okay, then what is the problem? If you look at Morocco, they have the best constitution, but there is a major problem. There is no political will to implement it. Women are fighting. In Egypt, for the first time, you have 87 women who were elected to parliament. There are 19 articles to support women's rights, and they are there to implement it, to support it, and to give the political will. So Muslim women are engaged every day of their lives. But when you come to the West, the expectation that Muslim women are all covered and all are victims and all are subjugated, and the answers like, oh, in Saudi Arabia, a woman cannot drive. Give me a break. You have engineers in Saudi Arabia, doctors and lawyers, and the most educated women in the Arab region are found in Saudi Arabia and other places. There are more women today who are scientists and engineers and doctors in the Middle East than in any other place, I think. So we concentrate on the negativity and don't have, because negativity doesn't sell. You see? People who come and say the things we are thinking, but they look like people down there, a black woman who is talking about, who is part of, let's say, right-wing party, saying all the things the right wing is thinking about Islam, contributing to the Islamophobia, proving their deranged ideas about Islam, is a brand. It is a brand, and nobody questions if what you are saying is right or wrong. It just seems it's what they are thinking, and that's what it is. It's a brand, and we are talking about 1.5 billion people. That's one.
You've said that democracy without women is hypocrisy. To what extent are governments claiming they're democratic and yet not being inclusive of women?
They are not democratic. They were not. Here's the story.
They're claiming
in the
to
West,
be democratic.
they are claimed to be. But the point is, if women are not appointed to important positions and they are not participating in a meaningful way, and you are leaving the woman behind. I always said, during the revolutions or any time there is a transition, that if you see a system or a government that's leaving its woman behind, it's a government that's leaving the society behind. Because women are the core of the society in every which way. So if you leave the woman behind, then you have left everything. Now, there is a study that says that when women start participating in the peace agreements, then really you can sustain the peace. Right now, you don't have women at the table. In the peace negotiations in Libya, in Syria, you really don't have women. And even the United Nations, United Nations has a resolution 1325, which basically says that women should participate throughout the peace negotiations. They can't implement it because they are talking to militia, who absolutely have no respect for women, and a government who is killing, its own citizens. So do you think they would turn around and say women? So when they ask them and say, where are the women? They will just bring their cronies. So the point is, unless you have women participating, we are not going to be where we will not have peace, and we will not have democracy, we will not have human rights.
Do you think that that's the biggest obstacle to democracy in the Arab region? What are the other obstacles, the other challenges?
I think there are a lot of challenges, not only in the Arab region, but in many. What's democracy and how do you define it? Democracy to me is when everyone in the society is participating economically and politically. Democracy is not it's different. It's so you need the Somali democracy, you need Moroccan democracy and Egyptian democracy. Democracy is not it's not something that you go to class and learn and say, oh, I'm democratic. No, the whole point is sharing economically everything, all the resources that country has with the people. Democracy means that people should really appoint who should represent them. Democracy means that people economically and politically should be participating fully. Democracy means people should not be afraid for their rights. Democracy means that the system should protect everyone, not for some. That's what democracy is. Democracy is let's go and vote. I mean, democracy. We are looking. If you look at the American elections, we are seeing the worst democracy on earth. Donald Trump, and he's leading in the polls. Who are the people who actually are going to put someone who is absolutely hates women, hates Muslims, hates Mexicans, calls them rapists? How on earth can a country that says that they're the best democracy and the most mature democracy could come up with that? With someone, how can America produce someone like Donald Trump and to run for office? Can you imagine when he becomes a president what he would do?
Tell us about the impact you've had since founding Karama. What's been your proudest moment?
I would never claim that I have made any impact, but I think being part and working with incredible women who were taking chances, and some of them were killed at the front line of fighting for women's rights and democracy and justice and all that in their own way. But they were bringing the change within their society. They looked like them. They had the passion of their societies. They had the inspiration of their societies. They were inspiration for them because they had the credibility. That is my proudest movement. It's just to be, working with those incredible, women who have the credibility and the dignity to be part of their society and to be proud of what they are. Not, women who want to import everything that's alien and claim this, people who are self-hating, let's say Muslims or that sort. But women who are proud of who they are, whether they're in the village or the cities, who are building schools and health centers, who are running for office, who are challenging constitutions, who are fighting for for new laws, who are finding the solution within, not outside. Those are those are the moments that you really say, well, this is great. Yeah.
It's worthwhile.
It is worthwhile.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.